to watch the wild ones live as they live, to record that way of life for all to see, for both this generation and the generations that follow. That is my quest. That is my dream. That's my goal. I'm wildlife photographer Bill Porter, and I'll take you there. Join me now as I continue the saga of Whiskey Mountain. I had already been to Whiskey Mountain in June with my good friend Frank on what was meant to be a one-time journey into the world of the bighorns, so prevalent in this area. I was especially looking for and found the ewes and their lambs. But Whiskey Mountain is so full of life. I now know that you could spend a lifetime exploring and enjoying its wonders. Frank had heard a legend about an old prospector, still said to be seen by some on these slopes, and he was passing it on to me, trying to make me a believer of the legend. I have never believed in such things, as being true, that is, but I have always enjoyed a good story. So we agreed to return to Whiskey Mountain. I had to walk on that mountain again.
I walked on the mountain and down by the sea. There I saw the many that share this world with me. We share this world with wild ones, that's the way it's meant to be. We're also meant to save them, that's the power in you and me. I wandered down the valley, crossed to the other shore. There's wildlife all around us, birds and bees and so much more. We're always going to take some, that's the way it's meant to be. We're also meant to save them, that's the power in you and me. Well, I woke up to the sunrise, stood there at sunset too. Still I saw the wild ones, wish you had been there too. For with one touch of nature, the whole world had become kin. With this message all around us, that's the way it's always been. We need to take some pleasure, for it's only ours to borrow. Take stock of this wild treasure for the children of tomorrow. I woke up to the sunrise, stood there at sunset too. Still I saw the wild ones, wish you had been there too. For with one touch of nature, the whole world had become kin. With this message all around us, that's the way it's always been. With this message all around us, that's the way it's always been.
When I go to a new area, I look for the best guide that I can find. Whiskey Mountain Outfitters is the third generation guide service. And Dan, our guide, knows the area well. Came up here to see the bighorn sheep this time again, of course, but have you been seeing any other animals?
Well, saw a big herd of elk right over the rise there.
How far are they down?
It's not far. Let's go over there right now.
Jesus, sounds good to me, Frank. Let's just ride over there and see it. You think we can see them this time of year?
Oh yeah, they're over there grazing by the lake. It's been such a dry summer. All the animals have been staying close to the water.
Let's head on over there.
There they are, across the lake.
Boy, it looks like that big guy's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah.
Keep track of that big herd.
Especially with those younger bulls that are going to be trying to take over, Bill.
Well, he's chasing them right out of there now.
Yeah, it looks...
Looks nice and fit though, doesn't he?
The fittest is what carries on in nature.
Yeah, that's the way of the wild, all right. I think I'm gonna do, I'm gonna back on out of here. You guys rest the horses and watch these guys for a while. And I'm gonna crawl up that rock ledge back there and see if I can see any of those big sheep. I'll try to see you guys later. All right, go get them. Good luck.
Elk usually only have about one calf a year, don't they, Dad?
Yeah, as a rule, but they do have twins, and triplets are almost unheard of.
There's a couple of nice looking spikes in the forecorn out there, but I don't see any 6x6s.
The younger ones are no threat to the bigger ones, so he allows them to stay by the herd. Notice how they stay out on the edges, and mostly with the bulls of their own age.
There's that feeling again. I can feel the hairs on the back of my neck starting to stand up again. I'll bet it's that mountain lion. Last time we were here, I had that same feeling. Then finally, on the way down, I spotted a mountain lion up on a rock ledge. I told Frank then that it was something like that, and not that old legend he's been trying to get me to believe in. That old legend's a good story, but I don't believe in ghosts or legends that still walk around. There he is, but he's not interested in me this time. Mountain lions don't attack humans very often. In fact, it's almost unheard of. But they sure like to watch and keep track of everything in their area, and have been known to track humans for long periods of time. No wonder he hasn't noticed me. That female is in season. Mountain lions, cougars if you prefer, are solitary animals, and only stay together at mating time. The females come into season starting in late winter, and will come back in season every 30 days or so until pregnant. Once pregnant, she will not tolerate an aggressive male, and will let him know in no uncertain terms that she wants to be left alone. Her message is to the point and not hard to understand.
Have you ever seen a cougar stalking? I have. Have you ever heard a cougar calling? I have. Have you ever thought of mountain crags, mountain lions and mountain caves, clean, cool air and clear blue skies, looking danger in the eyes? Have you seen a cougar's tail swaying? I have. Have you ever seen a cougar playing? I have. Yes, I have.
Well, this could go on for days, and I'd better be moving on. Even when I don't see them, I can still feel them watching. Last time, Frank insisted it was that old prospector from his legend. I'll get him to tell me more about that legend at camp tonight. Remembering what Dan said about the dry summer and the animals staying closer to the water, every time I came to a water hole, I'd hide out there for a while and was rewarded by the most exciting pictures I've ever taken. The fall color this year seemed to be limited to these few areas that had retained enough water. So the settings made the sightings that much more vivid.
Hey, Dan, Bill's back. You see any sheep, Bill?
Why, I didn't see any sheep, but you missed it.
I did.
I was up there on the ridge. There's a mountain lion. You know that mountain lion we saw the other day? It's probably the same one. But instead of just one up there, there's a pair of them up there. Man, that is sight to see.
Yeah, you gotta be careful out there. The mountain lions can be dangerous. You know, they're unpredictable this time of the year.
Yeah, I know. I stayed way back though. I stayed way back and watched. Right, man, this time of year.
You just don't want to believe that old John's still roaming these hills, do you?
No, I don't, Frank. But I'll tell you what. I'll give you another crack at it.
We could watch those elk all afternoon, but we better move on towards camp.
Okay, lead on, man.
Look over there in that swampy area, right in the stream.
Hey, it's a moose cow and her calf.
I thought moose usually only had one calf each year, but I saw twins the other day.
Yeah, twins are real common with moose.
Look how those ducks are taking advantage of all the grass and such that the moose are stirring up in the bottom.
Yeah, usually they have to dive down and get it.
Well, this cooperation sure makes it easier.
You sure can see a lot more wildlife when they're on horseback, huh?
Yeah, and a lot closer too, Bill. Seems like they just don't seem to notice us humans.
You know, only the horses is probably what they notice, but it just don't bother them much at all. How long you think those elk are gonna stay up on the ridges this year?
Well, it's been a long, dry summer. All the animals will stay around the water. Soon they'll be moving down into the valley, migrating for cold winter.
How about telling us some more about your legend, Frank?
Well, I'd love to, Bill, but it's not my legend. I'll be glad to tell you what I heard, though.
He says, I remember the last time you were telling us that this little old Woehrle you killed a grizzly bear, scared him off of the ledge or something.
That's right, that's the way it happened. That burro saved old John's life that day, you know. But it's pretty rough on her. That old grizzly bear really chewed her up. But didn't make much difference to John. He thought she was just as beautiful as ever. But you know, after that happened, John and Mabel were pretty hard to be found up in those mountains. Because when they'd gone back down for supplies, people had laughed at Mabel's scars. I don't know how
Can't make
anybody...
you laugh.
Yeah, I don't know how anybody could be so mean to you.
It's not real.
But you know, even though the whole world laughed at them, they still stayed true to each other. And every now and then, they'd help some fool like me or you.
That's what you keep saying. Some fool like me that he's probably helping there, I think, Frank. I think that's where you're picking up on this thing.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, you're right, Bill. Somebody that down on their luck, you know, lost their way on the slope or whatever. Kind of guy that maybe fell down on his knees and just gave up all hope up there on that hill. You can't really explain what happened, Bill. He said that there wasn't any sound. It got deathly quiet. But whatever it was he saw was pointing out his way. And I think it was old John. I think he's been out there. That's what you've been seeing. I think he's been out there trying to help you find them sheep.
Some fool like me, huh, Frank? Or like in the legend, you know?
Not a fool, Bill, but someone like old John himself. Somebody that's looking for the mother lode. Not necessarily gold. In your case, it's the sheep. He's out there trying to find you your mother lode.
You really believe in this thing, don't you, Frank? You know, I hate to keep cutting you off with your story, Frank. It's so darn interesting, but I want to get up in the morning, go down there. I think the elk will still be down there in the lake, or down there by the lake, I should say. You know, that big elk, we got their antlers rubbed like that, and that big one was setting his dominance already today, you know.
Yeah, but you can bet some young bull's going to challenge you, Bill.
Maybe if we're lucky, first thing in the morning, first light.
Look at that thing, Bill. Looks to me like somebody's gonna get hurt.
Yeah, sometimes they do have injury, I understand. Sometimes they do fight that long, but most of the time somebody just backs off.
You're going at it.
Now, he might have lost the battle, but that big bull, but he still wants to set the hierarchy with this little guy, you know what I'm saying?
There's a couple of them out there.
Well, it looks like the excitement's over for a while, Frank. I think we might as well split up again and see. I think we'll have a better chance of finding the bighorns if we do. Yeah.
Well, I'll go up to that big plateau over there.
And I'll head back over into the rocks over there where I've seen those cougars and stuff, but I think the bighorns are up that way.
All right, sounds good.
Say! Hey! Have you seen any sheep up this way?
Oh yeah, I see some this morning up a little higher up on the ridge there.
Oh yeah?
This time of year, you know, they don't come down.
They're up on that plateau over
Yeah,
there and stuff
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, they
You know, there's so much wildlife around here and stuff. Have you seen any animals today, you know? I'm trying to take some pictures of different things. Have you seen anything?
Yeah,
Take a pic.
I seen an old coyote up the way here a while ago. The son of a gun stole my glove. and took
That's
off.
where your glove went. I noticed you only got one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, he took off down the trail with the thing.
Which way did he go?
He went down the trail that direction or someplace.
He's up on that ridge? You think he's up in the... You think I could probably find him if I go up there and...
He's up that direction.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to say where he went to.
I'll just go ahead on up there and see if I can find him up there on the ridge. Did you say, you know, you think he's up about as high as that old dead tree up there, or is he... Where in the world? Now, where in the world could he win again? He's the most elusive character that I've ever seen in my life. He's here and then he's gone. That old man appears and disappears like a spirit. Now I think Frank and his legend are getting to me. Even I'm starting to call him a spirit. He had to go this way. Now there's what I've been looking for, a ewe and her lamb. And now that the lamb's a little older, the ewe's bringing him out on a grassy slope so that he can start eating on his own. But he'll still get milk from his mother for another month or so. The little lambs will follow their mothers very closely for protection for the first year. There, all at once, silhouetted against the main hump of Whiskey Mountain, as if by some peculiar twist of fate, a ewe stood out alone for only a few seconds, and then is joined by her lamb. Then no sooner was the scene etched in my mind, when over the side and down across the rocks they went. I'd better be getting back. This is about far. Now that I've found some of the ewes and lambs, I've found the biggest herd that I've seen in a long time. I've found that it's easy to tell the ages of sheep. These fuzzy-headed little ones are just several months old. The one on the right with the bigger horns is a ram. The one on the left with those very small little horns is a ewe. But it's not only the males that set dominance, and I've found it starts very early in their life. Even though both the ewes and rams have horns that grow throughout their life, and they do have true horns, not antlers, they grow bigger and longer each year. The scars that are obtained by battle or other causes also remain. The ewe's horns are always much shorter and never get that big curl that the bighorns are noted for. Rams that are 1 year old in their second fall have horns that are about 6 to 8 inches long and are already engaging in the ramming of heads. Although not serious at this age, this already is starting to set the hierarchy in the herd.
Mabel won the fight that day. She'd saved her man, old John. Tooth and claw had scarred her face, but she looked like an angel to John. From that day on, old John and Mabel were harder to be seen. For some had laughed at Mabel's scars. How could any be so mean? But though the whole world laughed at them, to themselves the two stood true. And every now and then they'd help some fool like me or you. Someone perhaps who'd lost his way on a Whiskey Mountain slope, who'd fallen down upon his knee to given up all hope, when from the teardrops in his eyes through the mist he'd see the ghostly form of a man in a burrow. So he got up off his knees. He can't explain what happened, there was no sound he'd say. He only knows that John and Mabel had pointed out the way.
Man, there's that feeling that Bill's always been talking about. I don't know what it is. Unless it's that mountain lion keeping an eye on me. Or maybe it's old John. Say, Bill, I saw a moose crossing that lake over to the north on the way back to camp.
Well, I finally found the sheep. Well, I found the ewe and the lamb, yeah. Got some nice pictures there, though. And that was really nice.
I'll bet old John helped him.
I did see him, though. Not old John, but the old guy that I've been telling you about. But I talked to him this time. I stopped there and he was telling me about a coyote and well, he dropped a glove and a coyote had taken his glove. He had quite a story, this guy, so.
You know, I told you, that's the old prospector.
Come on, Frank. I don't know where he went, though. I was busy. I was listening to what he was telling me about this coyote, and I was trying to decide whether I should go up and look where he saw the coyote up there in the brush, or over top of a ridge where he'd seen some sheep. And I turned around and he's gone again.
Yeah, I'll bet you those sheep were right where you said they'd be, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. Yeah. Let's see. He knows this part, you know.
Too bad it's time to leave in the morning.
Yeah, I know. Everything has to come to an end, though. But we're going to be back up this winter.
It snows real deep in the winter. I can put you in touch with Tex. He's a guy who uses snowmobiles. 'Cause I'll
Oh,
be
you
out
use snowmobiles instead of horses.
Instead of horses, it's just too deep up here for horses.
But he's a pretty good guy, huh?
Yep.
Hey, look up there, silhouetted in the moonlight.
The wonders of this place just never seem to end, do they?
Hey guys, on the way out, let's go past the lake and see if those moose are still there.
Sounds like a good idea, Frank. Glad you suggested that we stop off here. And what a sight to see, isn't it?
There's another one over there. And a young bull with him.
I seen moose go into the deeper water to escape all those bugs, like those black flies and mosquitoes that are surrounding this one. But I think it's ironic that the elk move up into higher elevations to escape the bugs, then eat the grasses for the summer up in those areas, leaving the grasses down below for their winter feed. Looks like those guys are on their way in.
I wonder if they're gonna see old John too, Bill.
Maybe.
Probably will.
They're gonna have just as much to see out there as we've got to see.
Well, I wish him luck.
Pull out this side, and then you can dust them.
Continue the saga of Whiskey Mountain with the legend of Whiskey Mountain, where we'll learn the rest of the legend and watch the bighorns as they ram heads together in their quest for the right to dominate the herd and to reign supreme here on Whiskey Mountain. If you missed our first visit to Whiskey Mountain, you'll want to see the spirit of Whiskey Mountain as well.
There's a story told on Whiskey Mountain about a man named John, a legendary prospector from 1821. No one knew where he came from or if he had some kin. They only knew the mother lode was what he hoped to win. They say old John knew Whiskey Mountain like the backside of his hand, 'cause most his life he'd tramped its slopes, scorned the bottomland. He never had too much to say, yet he'd stand out in a crowd. With beard of white, clear blue eyes, near 6 feet tall and proud. A friend to all old-timers say, he'd turn his back on none. Though many offered him a home, he shunned them, every one. For the man known only as Old John preferred no human's table. He walked alone, his thoughts of home, Whiskey Mountain, and old Mabel. Now Mabel meant a lot to John. She'd saved his life, you see. She'd fought and killed a grizzly bear, and what a sight to see. The fight had been a vicious one, as John lay like a stone. His head had landed on a rock, cut it to the bone. An old grizzly bear, he bit and clawed, chewed at Mabel's head. He almost ripped off Mabel's ear. It healed, but flopped half dead. The joke is, Mabel's just a burro. She stands but 5 hands tall. Sometimes you can be a giant when your back's against the wall. With a loaded pack upon her back, clanging pots and pans, she'd scared that big old grizzly bear. He'd turned around and ran. But running on a mountain trail just makes no sense at all. 1,000 feet to the rocks below, Mabel watched him fall. Yeah, Mabel won the fight that day. She'd saved her man, old John. Tooth and claw had scarred her face, but she looked like an angel to John. From that day on, old John and Mabel were harder to be seen. For some had laughed at Mabel's scars. How could any be so mean? But though the whole world laughed at them, to themselves the two stood true. And every now and then they'd help some fool like me or you. Someone perhaps who'd lost his way on a Whiskey Mountain slope, who'd fallen down upon his knee, given up all hope, when from the teardrops in his eye, through the mist he'd see the ghostly form of a man in a burro. So he got up off his knees. He can't explain what happened. There was no sound he'd say. He only knows that John and Mabel had pointed out the way.